Entrepreneurship is very hard, but it's probably the only thing that you can pursue if you want to live a life where you're truly, truly, truly in control of your own destiny. I understand that your 9 to 5 job, you have stability, but I don't want stability. I want scalability. And I think if you're watching this video, you probably do too. I started my business when I was 23, which is not that long ago. It's literally the beginning of last year, with a 2015 MacBook Air. I had like $6,000 in my bank account. I had a car payment. I had a dog to take care of. I am in a was in a long-term relationship. I still am. I'm actually getting married like next week, which is pretty awesome. But you don't have to have a crazy amount of resources to be able to start a business or to be able to start some sort of entrepreneurship venture or to take a step in that direction at least. I had no clue what I was doing when I first started. And then 5 months later, I had lost basically everything that I had built up, lost my 2 biggest clients, essentially went to zero a week before I quit my full-time job. I had already put in my 2 weeks notice, so there was no turning back. And I quit my job without anything, no income to fall back on. So I didn't pay myself for literally a 5-month period when I first started my business because I didn't have any business income to pay myself with. So starting a business in your 20s or in your 30s, if that's possible for you, is difficult, but it's probably one of the smartest things that you can do, even if every single day you're gonna tell yourself this was a stupid idea. The biggest thing for me when I first got started was risk. I was like, this is too risky, there's too much going on, what could happen, I'm not meant for this. All these things that you're probably thinking to yourself right now, and I promise you that it is not true. It is riskier to do something like a 9 to 5 job that is not scalable, where you aren't in control of your own destiny, than it is to take a chance and jump into something where you might have the opportunity to build something that you never thought was possible for yourself or for your family. Like, imagine what could come from that. I think it's riskier to depend on somebody else for a paycheck. If you're not a self-starter, I completely understand that. I was not an entrepreneurial person when I started doing this at all. I've become more entrepreneurial since then, but you don't have to be an entrepreneur or have a family full of business owners or a family full of other entrepreneurs or be Jeff Bezos's third cousin to be able to start a business or to be able to be an entrepreneur. It really starts with some mindset shifts and some basic practical steps and applications that I'm going to talk to you about today, and kind of how I would look at things if I were getting started again. It's really not what you think at all. I wouldn't say it's simpler, but I mean, it kind of is simpler. So you really don't need much to start. Like I said, I had like $6,000 to my name. When I first got started, I was making a job that was paying me like $3,000 a month after taxes. Not downplaying that amount of money by any means. It's definitely not the amount of money that I wanted to make, and it wasn't the amount of money that I needed to make to be able to do things like invest, save for the future, to grow and to build a family, which is very, very important to me. So something you don't need a fancy office, you don't need crazy tools, you probably really only need a laptop, connection to the internet, and a functioning human brain. Those would probably be the main things. There's a lot of other things that would be helpful, but those are the main things that I would focus on to get started. You can literally just sit, like if you're starting to grow an online business or trying to grow an online business, you have your computer, you can sit here with your water bottle, with your hydration, and grind away and figure things out, especially with the access to AI tools that we have now, which I'm going to get into. Don't look at it as a huge time sacrifice, because it really isn't. I mean, everything's going to be a sacrifice and there's trade-offs to everything, but if you have 1 to 2 hours every day after work or before work, or 5 or 6 hours every weekend to start to develop something or put together an idea or put together some sort of plan for your business and really start taking practical steps in the direction that you want to go in, it's up to you if you're willing to make that sacrifice or not. And this is one of the mindset shifts that you're going to have, is that you're going to have to give up the Monday night football. You're going to have to give up the Thursday night football, the Saturday football, the Sunday football, maybe giving up watching your favorite show for a little bit. All those things that I had to do for 12 months. I had to disband from a lot of relationships that I really valued and really appreciated, because I knew that if I dedicated time to those things, I wouldn't be able to start and build a foundation of what I really wanted to do. So those are some things I would focus on first. So here's some practical priorities, tools that I would get set up and things I would focus on first. Number one would be proving the concept. You want to make sure that the idea that you have actually has demand for it, that there's an addressable market that you can sell products or sell services to, and that is going to grow, in your opinion, over the next, say, 5 years. Like, a question that a mentor of mine asked me. They said, if you were to look at your business, do you think this is going to be in more demand in the next 5 years? If the answer to that question is no, then it's probably not the venture that you want to dive into. Something that I would do is using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any of these AI tools is putting together a very, very basic contextual list of everything that you are kind of thinking about in terms of what kind of business you want to start, what market you're in, what your ideal customer looks like. Put that into an AI tool and say, hey, poke some holes in this strategy. What are some pitfalls that I might not be thinking of? And give it additional context too, like say, here's the amount of money that I have in my bank account. Here's my current life situation. I have 2 kids and a dog and a mortgage payment, all these things that might be valuable for a tool to know before it gives you a recommendation on how you should move forward. So I would highly recommend doing that. Something I do want to caveat that with is make sure you have a paid subscription to a tool if you're going to input any of that information, because the AI models will use your information to train their models, and that's like open source information that's available. So get a paid subscription before you start putting any of your personal details, like the amount of money that's in your bank account or anything like that. Once you kind of prove the concept, get a Google Workspace account set up. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I made, was just using a generic Gmail and Google Drive account from the outset. And then over a 12-month period, like developing a ton of resources in Google Drive, bunch of email conversations, accounts created using an email address. And then when I finally switched over to my own domain in Google Workspace, which is salkasearch.com, I needed that because I wanted all my employees to have that domain. So obviously I had to too. I had to transfer every account, every file over to the new workspace. And it literally took forever to make copies of everything, transfer things over. And it literally cost $7 a month for the Workspace subscription. So just do it. I didn't do it because I'm cheap. I'm no longer cheap. These things are investments. They're not expensive. After you have Google Workspace set up, and this should honestly come before Google Workspace, is getting your LLC set up. Go use LegalZoom. Go use an online tool to set up an LLC. It costs like $500 and then a couple $100 for a registered agent. And it's an annual subscription that you have to pay, or an annual amount you have to pay to have a registered agent. I can't even explain to you what a registered agent really is or what the purpose of it is. I just knew that I had to have it to be legally compliant. Don't get caught up in the little details, the little steps, and let those be the reason that you're going to stop pursuing something. Like, there's way bigger setbacks that are going to come your way. So don't let something small like that be the reason for you to make an excuse to not start your business. Like, just go through the setup. It's a very easy step-by-step process to get all those tools in place. And don't let that be your excuse, like I said, to not do this. Get your ChatGPT Plus subscription as well. Being an AI native company, especially as an online business, is going to be very, very important. I would highly recommend getting that in place and figuring out how to become a better prompter, how to use AI tools better, which tools are best for different use cases. But I would definitely start with ChatGPT Plus. It's very, very simple. Or you could use Gemini, this pro subscription of Gemini. But I recommend ChatGPT Plus over Gemini because you can put things in folders in ChatGPT Plus, and you can't do that in Gemini right now. And I love folders. But in terms of performance, they're probably pretty much the same. And then finally, I would get a QuickBooks account set up. You can get QuickBooks Online set up for like $22 a month or something like that, I think it is. The next step after that would be to get clients set up in QuickBooks if that's something you need to do, or start like reporting your expenses in there. Like if you have a business credit card or a business bank account, get those things hooked up to QuickBooks. And then next step would really be getting a bookkeeper or an accountant as kind of like a next step after this. Once you start to have some consistent business income coming in, like that's one of the first things I would delegate. Your environment at home does not need to be anything special. You don't need to have this crazy setup with speakers and whiteboards and 10 monitors. You can literally just sit at your table, at your kitchen table like I am now, and you can't see it, but there's stuff all over it because we just moved into a new place. But try to limit the amount of distractions that you have near you would be my recommendation. But as long as you have some nourishment in terms of a water bottle and your laptop and connection to the freaking internet, you're well on your way. I did want to share some failure stories just to encourage you, because the failures are going to come and it's just part of the process. Like I had mentioned, I had gotten started with my business and had lost 2 of my biggest clients literally a week before I was going into this full time. Went from hero to zero, built it back up. But the point is that all those defeats are going to be temporary. So I want to encourage you to expect them, because if you expect something to come, it's not going to be as difficult to deal with because you kind of knew that it was going to happen and you were prepared for it. So be prepared for those things to happen because they are going to happen. Some biggest lessons that I've found just through this process so far is just being resilient and resourceful are some of the 2 biggest and most important things that you can have and that you can do, but it takes time to develop that. And it starts with really focusing on self-leadership before you can be someone who can lead others. And that self-leadership comes from going through personal trials, putting yourself in situations or in uncomfortable circumstances, or just getting out of your comfort zone is going to be very important for you to develop that resilience, and to be resourceful as well. Because if you have to make ad hoc decisions, if you have to work on the fly, you're going to become more resourceful, and that's one of the most important entrepreneurial skills to develop. Really trust those micro wins every single day. Not every single day is going to be a huge win. It's not going to be a record sales month every month for you. That's just not how it's going to go. So, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but it's definitely not how it's gone for me by any means. But I want you to focus on those micro wins. Like getting a little bit better every single day is really the way to focus on. Another like huge mindset shift that I highly recommend, and one that I've had, is focusing on developing entrepreneurial skills more so than technical skills. If you're an owner operator, it's going to be important to have those technical skills, but try to develop yourself as an entrepreneur, really developing a systems driven mindset. That's one of the most important things I would focus on is putting together process documentation and SOPs so that you can have a consistent experience, and so you're not trying to reinvent the wheel every single time something comes up, because there's things that happen month over month. Maybe it's your client invoicing process, or the way you organize documents within your Google Drive, or your hiring process. These things you're going to want to start to develop and document from the beginning, because as they get more complex and there's more moving parts, it's going to be harder to go back and like adjust those things. After systems, I would really focus on learning leadership, like I said, starting with self-leadership, because if you are trying to grow a business that's outside of just yourself, even if it is just yourself, you're going to have to be able to lead yourself. When things get tough, people look to a leader, and oftentimes you're going to want to be that person that you're going to look towards yourself and say, all right, Ben, all right, whoever, you've proven that you can do this in the past. Let's do it again. Let's build and let's grow together through this time of uncertainty. And then the last thing I would focus on is learning money management. If you're not good with your personal finance, you're not going to be good with your business finance either. So being disciplined to letting your bank account, your business bank account, build up to a certain amount, so you have almost like a business emergency fund in place. Even if you started your business to pay yourself more, I would highly recommend doing this, as long as you're not just building it to be a side hustle. If it's a side hustle, like pay yourself, do whatever. But you want to have enough money in there that if you lose business, or if you lose clients, lose customers, you're going to have enough in your business bank account to cover your expenses and everything that you're obligated to on a month-to-month basis as a business owner. So my call to action to you would be, first, recognize that you are capable, you are a savage, you are somebody who is and can be entrepreneurial. This is what I told myself constantly. You're not an entrepreneur, Ben. This isn't meant for you, etc. I promise you it is. If you feel called in this direction, it's probably for a reason. And you can develop those entrepreneurial skills over time. Just dive in and get started like I did. Some of the things that are most important are networking as well. Like find as many other people in your space, local entrepreneurs, join local entrepreneur communities, online communities, go to networking events, business events, etc. I joined a local business organization. Everybody there is older than me. Everybody has big businesses that are bigger than mine. But I think that's awesome. Like, you want to be the stupidest person in the room. You want to be the least developed person in the room, because that means every conversation you have or every person you meet is going to lift you up. And people just respect the fact that you're a young person, like getting after it in business. So take advantage of those opportunities. Even if you're an introvert, like get yourself out of your comfort zone. It's going to be worth it in the long run to step into those rooms and start having those conversations, because you never know where an opportunity or an idea could come from. So the first thing you want to do, like I said, come up with an idea, validate it with an AI tool, poke holes in it, see what potential pitfalls there could be. Number two, get your LLC set up. That's the most important thing to actually be able to legally do business, and get your registered agent set up as well. Then from there, I would get ChatGPT Plus subscription set up. You should probably do this honestly at the very, very beginning, but I would do that so you can start getting used to prompting AI tools and really turbocharging your workflows. Get your Google Workspace set up. Do not use a Gmail address to get started. Please pay the $7 a month or whatever. I'll pay it for you. Just kidding, I won't do that. But I wasn't even willing to pay it for myself, so I'm not going to pay it for anybody else. But I'm obviously willing to pay for it now, and my subscription to Google Workspace is significantly greater than the $7 a month it was when I first started. I wished I did that. I highly recommend you do that so that you don't have to transfer all your stuff over, because that was the biggest pain. And then from there, the last and final thing that I would do after you get your Google Workspace account set up would be to focus on developing those entrepreneurial skills and focusing less on the technical skills, more on how to become a better entrepreneur and how to systemize your business to turn it into a quote unquote prototype or a franchise prototype, which is what Michael E. Gerber says in the book, The E-Myth, which I highly recommend you reading before you get started, to build a systems and processes driven mindset. So those are some of the things that I would focus on. A little bit about my journey. If you want to start an online business in your 20s, it's highly possible for you, but focus on yourself, focus on your mindset, focus on your self-leadership. And then as things come up, which they inevitably will, recognize them as temporary defeats, not permanent losses, and you will be well on your way, just like I am. Even going through temporary defeats over the last 7 to 14 days, potentially losing clients, I know that the things that I've put in place, and I have to continue to tell myself this, are going to yield future returns because of the work that I've put in over the last 12 to 18 months. So get started now. The sooner you get started, the better. The more compounding is on your side. Focus on scalability, and I promise you will live a life worth living like I'm trying to do. Thank you.